Hunter King, and yeah, so he's the leader of that clan. He's also, though, a Clash Royale content creator, not one you normally think of. He writes articles and strategy guides for a Famitsu app.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, you can read them in app. So Berin, and of course we got the faces, the cameras on the faces of the players. Berin is beloved for his facial expressions. And Fuchi bringing out the Flying Machine early on. He has to go to Defensive Miner to block it. Flying Machine is a very long range, but not long enough to reach those goblins on the other side.
All right, we get the Princess out the right side. Maybe try to get a snipe onto that Flying Machine. No, the Goblin's going to take care of it instead. Flying Machine out the right side couldn't get a whole lot of value in there either.
Berin has already shown us enough cards. Even if this is your first Clash Royale tournament, you know what he's playing, right? Spellbait. We have the classic Goblin Barrel Princess and Goblin Gang. We have to see what spells Fuchi are going to play because it's going to be very, very important here. Lava Hound comes out for Fuchi. That is a big flying tank that is going to turn into a smaller swarm of attacking lava pups. Berin is going to have to make sure that that Lava Hound does not blow up on his tower and unleash all of those lava pups because he'd be in trouble if they did.
I think I'm starting to see why Fuchi countered that Goblin Barrel with a miner now. He's got almost no ground-based troops in his deck, relying entirely on the air. He's making a big assault out the right lane, but hasn't connected on the tower yet. I think his miner chip on the left is the only he's gotten so far.
And Berin has gotten the better of this early exchange. The first minute or so into the game, both of Fuchi's towers have a little bit of a black eye, and Berin's towers are standing strong.
Fuchi called himself a 6 out of 10 on creativity, but this is certainly a new deck to me. It's surprising a lot of people in the stands here, and I'm sure of those watching at home. Let's see.
What's interesting,
Goblin's not going to get any value. Log rolled through him.
What's interesting about Fuchi as a player is he only plays exactly what he needs to play in order to win. Multiple times during the Japanese finals, he would only play like 5 cards or 6 cards in his whole deck and never actually play the last 1 or 2 cards because he just had a cycle that was working and didn't feel the need to mix it up.
Taking a little bit of damage at the left. It's kind of revealing the weakness of this deck that Fuchi's running. So many aerial troops can deal a lot of damage uncontested. You know, Berin's Knight certainly can't reach those flying machines. But without anything to block those heavy hitters on the ground, he's just taken a little bit of reliable chip damage here, left and right side, now down to nearly half hit points.
And now that we're at double elixir time, though, this is going to turn it around a little bit for Fuchi. He has a big tank. He wants to spend a lot of elixir putting together his push, and he's got to get around that Inferno tower on defense. When you have double elixir, you certainly have more ability to do that, and he's got to push through on one side. Berin, great job keeping up the pressure on the left lane, getting it down to 507 damage left. Zap's going to reset the Inferno tower, giving the Lava Hound a second life here, but I don't know if he's going to be able to punch through 2,000 damage in the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, it was Fuchi's time to shine, but that Inferno tower is shown even brighter, tearing apart that Lava Hound. Left side now down to 507, almost in rocket range. Berin is getting awfully close. He likely has that as last and final card in this deck, but the Goblins are going to get it down anyways. Berin with the 1-0 clean sweep of Fuchi, barely takes any damage on either of his towers. Hard countering his opponent and getting himself the upper leg in this best-of-3 match.
And a huge German contingent in the audience is making some noise for their representative. Berin is 1 game away from advancing, but of course, you know, actually, I think he had a really good deck choice in that first game. Decks like Spellbait that rely on Inferno Tower for defense, and of course, like cheap splash damage and other defensive cards, live to fight big, slow, tanky decks like what Fuchi brought. Whether it's Giant, Lava Hound, Golem, or even P.E.K.K.A. and Mega Knight, those Inferno Towers are so hard to get through. He did have the Zap to reset it, but the problem was that without Log in his deck, Goblin Barrel almost always was dealing damage, and it just kept chipping him down until finally he was within spell range and couldn't keep up.
Nope. Berin's one of the best control players in the game, and he certainly seemed calm, cool, and collected on the podium there, playing cards left and right, just enough to counter whatever was coming at him. I think that Fuchi was really relying upon that flying machine to get a bit more value. Yeah. It doesn't see a whole lot of play in competitive events, and you've really got to, you know, snickerdoodle your way, trick your opponent into setting themselves up incorrectly backwards so that the flying machine can chop down those little goblins, finish off the princess without being able to you know, have any tank out in front of her, and then go on the counterattack behind that big Lava Hound. Just seeing it burnt up so many times with Berin playing both the left and the right side, there was never an opportunity for Fuchi to build up that one big push that he needed.
And it started right from the beginning of the game. We see sometimes players sitting at 10 elixir and just kind of waiting because they don't want to make an overcommitment. Fuchi kind of made that mistake. He put Flying Machine in the left lane, that's 4 elixir. Goblin Barrel comes down on the right. He uses Defensive Miner, so that's 3 for 3, that's even, but he's already committed 4 to the left lane. You can't just let that go. So he started spending more elixir trying to back it up, and I feel like that's exactly what a control player wants. You overcommit, the control player, Berin, defends it, gets a resource advantage, and he's pushing through. Here we are, game number 2. Berin in blue along the bottom, Fuchi in red along the top.
Advantage for Berin as this best of 3 match could conclude right here and now if he gets the win. Fuchi needs to turn it around and go for the reverse sweep if he wants to claim this match and move on to the quarterfinals.
Knights coming down in the right-hand lane for both players. The red Knight's gonna keep that princess healthy, so Miner has to pop up behind her and give her the shovel to the face.
Does a good job at it. Bats at the left lane, don't get a whole lot of damage in though. No tank in front of them. Fuchi sitting at 10 elixir for a little while here. Let's see what his counter's gonna be to this big Goblin Gang at the right. He's got a Goblin Gang in his own. Looking awfully similar in terms of win condition, but Berin actually has a much heavier deck. That Mega Knight landing on the left side knocks out those Goblins and will go in for a big counter push. Let's see what Fuchi has to knock it down.
And the question for me is, does Fuchi's version of Spellbait play an Inferno Tower? Because Balloon from Berin is going to pull it over. He has Tesla, so he does have at least a building to pull it over, but it's not shooting the balloon. One drop gets in, and he manages to take it out.
Spirit. I think Christmas came early for Fuchi and able to throw that little snowball onto the balloon there. Unfortunately, he's going to lose his princess to the balloon death damage, but looking like he's holding on relatively well here. Not a whole lot of damage for either Fuchi or Berin just yet in this match.
Can he defend this princess from the Miner? No.
Might go for the king. He's awfully close.
That's why he ignored it.
King Tower activation early for Fuchi, and Berin has made a big error. Super difficult to make a comeback after that big defensive advantage is set up, and Fuchi's got to be happy about that.
Yeah, because now what he can do is use his Tesla towers and other defensive troops, pulling troops into the middle, into the light alley, right cutting through the center of the arena, where all 3 towers will shoot for a severe amount of damage.
Yeah.
He's got to stop this Inferno Dragon from locking on. Ice Spirit jumps, freezing it in place, and Goblin Barrels coming out to do some damage.
Then again, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for Berin. He's relying more on big, heavy hits from the Balloon or the Mega Knight even. He's not too worried about little chippy defensive setups from Fuchi, but it can't help him at all to have the King Tower activated there.
Great Knight placement stops the Mega Knight from leaping onto the Tesla Tower. It's going to hold it in place while the tower just picks away little shots at it.
Nice minor placement from Berin here. There's actually only a couple of tiles in the corner up there to avoid being shot at by the King, and a great catch as well in the back end. Goblin Gang finishes off the barrel there, but the Princess does get a couple of shots off there, bringing that left side down to 1700. Fuchi has pulled ahead in damage now.
And despite playing very different decks, the damage is near even as the last 30 seconds are counting down. We are in double elixir time, just 20 seconds away from overtime, and if we make it to overtime, the stakes are raised even more because the first tower to go down, that's the winner.
The dangerous thing for Berin in this situation, though, is even though he wants to apply pressure in that bottom right corner with the Miner to try to prevent the King Tower from locking on, it's really easy for Fuchi to get a read on where that Miner's going to go and try to block it on his own and prevent that damage entirely. Fuchi defending very well against the Balloon out here on the left and applying pressure once again out the left. The fact that Berin is running Zap rather than Log means that he's got nothing to finish off those Goblins with one hit.
Great Tesla Tower mechanic there is once the Tesla's done attacking, it goes into its little hidey hole. It went underground, and when the balloon blew up, it didn't damage the Tesla Tower, giving you an extra 10, 15, 20 seconds of damage, and now he's got 2 Teslas out. This is a really hard defensive base to crack. And watch, the other one moved back into the hidey hole. Princess not so lucky.
Fuchi once again missing with the Goblin Barrel connection, but getting pretty decent value roll in the Log through the Goblin Gang at the left side and chipping it even further down. Haven't seen the 8th and final card in his deck, but it could be a big surprise hit. The Rocket deals a ton of damage, and it's a very popular inclusion in these Log-based decks.
And the Miner gets intercepted by the Goblin Gang, letting the Princess live. She turns and switches onto the Balloon while the Tesla Tower takes a few shots. Princess is going to go down again, but I think he's doing a great job holding it off.
Berin repulsed time and time again. He's yet to connect in a big way. And with 458 on the left side tower, Fuchi with a 6 elixir rocket will wipe it out. 493 and 3 is the name of the game. Fuchi ties up this match 1-1 against Nova's Berin.
And that was a very